you try to avoid any kind of suffering or pain, guess what happens? We end up avoiding learning. And this is why I called this learning from suffering. There are things that suffering and pain can teach you that nothing else can, right? And when you have men who are on the sidelines and just say, I want to feel nothing, I don't want to feel any of the pain, I don't want any of the suffering, I don't have to deal with the heartache. What you do is you avoid learning the lessons that God had from suffering, right? So there's 7 reasons that we just went through, different reasons, because I think it's helpful to understand that suffering is here. It's a part of this world, but it could be for all kinds of different reasons. Innocent mistakes, right? Just lack of judgment in a moment that causes pain. It could be discipline. It could be testing. It could be all these things. But what we know is that you will suffer. And in fact, we go back to the original verse saying, count on it, right? Don't be surprised by it. You know quite well that in this life you are destined to suffer. And so we want to embrace the lessons, right? Like we don't, again, want to pursue any more suffering than we have to. Life will give you what it's going to give you. As men who are trying to live bigger and better lives, what I'm suggesting we do is learn from the pain, learn from the suffering, and have a mindset before the suffering starts that says, I'm not surprised of this. I'm going to look for the lessons in it. I'm going to look to learn from it when it shows up. Will that be easier said than done? Of course. It's going to be tough, right? But you can suffer with Christ. You can learn with him, or you can try to avoid it and go on your own and see how that works out for you. That's really the 2 options when it comes to suffering. So what are we to learn from it? Here's just a couple verses that I thought could be helpful for us as we wrap up this conversation. James 1:2-4 says this: consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Consider it joy. Now that sounds crazy, right? Like in the middle of this sounds crazy. But God says that when you consider the trials of many kinds, right? Could be for any of those 7 reasons. Whatever the source or the cause of the suffering is, consider it pure joy because it leads to somebody who lacks nothing. Well, how could that be? Well, when a man walks fully and completely and closely with the Lord and you are knit together in suffering, you have moved to a different level of relationship with God. Suffering and pain can bring you close to God in ways that nothing else can. You will lack nothing because nothing will be able to break through that relationship with God.